Hello, this is Gene's DG2, and today I'll be going over Black Ops 1 Zombies, what it did for zombies, and my opinion on all the maps from a gameplay perspective to an atmosphere perspective. Starting with Kino der Toten, the Theater of the Dead, and the most iconic zombies map. Everything is simple enough for most people to fully understand the map their first few times playing it. The reason behind the map's fame is 1. It's a good, simple, fun map, and 2. Luck. This map was originally a World at War map, but due to time limitations with the release of Modern Warfare 2, it was pushed back to Black Ops 1 and set in a much better engine. It also happened to be the best-selling zombies game, and this map was given to you right out of the gate, unlike 5, which had you complete the campaign to access. Naturally, it was more played. The Thunder Gun, or when upgraded to the Zeus Cannon, was introduced on this map, a true get-the-fuck-off-me wonder weapon. Until Kino, we had never had a wonder weapon that could save you in an instant. The Wonderwaff was close, but it had its dangers. This gun gives you such a sense of safety when you hold it. The map has a ton of room on the training spots. There's a myriad of them, but 2 stand out: the stage and the alley. The stage is a great spot to relax and train. You can basically make it work with any weapon. The alley, on the other hand, is much more tight, and the Thunder Gun or Ray Gun is probably required to make the alley work. But the alley also has its upsides. The zombies spawn much faster, so you can really blast through the rounds. The atmosphere of this map is truly its own thing. The writing on the walls, the ambiance around the map, like the knocking in the dressing room. The vibe of this map is abandoned. You could envision when it wasn't, though. Like, when you're on the stage, you could look into the seats and imagine them full and buzzing with life, of people coming to see a movie or a play, with their friends and family, getting concessions over where Quick Revive is. You can just look off and into the seats and just almost place the theater back together, because it's crumbled apart, but you could almost see exactly how it would have been if it hadn't. Now, when I said this map's vibe was its own thing, I didn't mean abandoned, per se. A lot of zombies maps capture the sense of abandonment. Take Verrückt, Zetsubono Shima, Shino Numa, maps like that. They're abandoned, yes, but Kino was a place that wasn't a research facility, or it wasn't originally created to be a research facility. It was created as a place where people were supposed to go and have fun. But now, giving it a sense of abandonment, it almost gives it its own vibe, because the vibe of abandoned theater is very different from the vibe of, like, let's say, abandoned facility, like Deriz. The facility is abandoned, yes, it has its own creepy vibe, but it's not a, like, fun environment that would get distorted if destroyed. A facility that's destroyed is just a bunch of broken down equipment. But a theater that's destroyed is broken down fun hopes and dreams of everyone who'd been there. That sounds a lot darker than I wanted it to sound, but you understand what I mean. On to the difficulty aspect of this map. This map is undeniably one of the easier maps. You're not going to have a huge hard time playing. It's very easy to set up. There's just a couple doors between you and power, and once you turn power on, there's not even any doors to Jug. Jug is open to you the second you turn on power. And Pack-a-Punch is open to you the second you turn on power pretty much as well. All you need to do is run from the teleporter on the stage to the pad in the spawn room, link those 2 up, and then you can teleport right to Pack-a-Punch. It's a very simple setup process. There's a lot of training room. There's a bunch of good wall buys. The M16 is located on the stage, and that's pretty safe wall buy. In the BO3 version, you can find the KN44, or maybe it's the ICR-7 there. But overall, it's a very safe map. It's a comfortable map. You're not going to feel too stressed while playing it. It's an amazing relaxer. Just come and chill there, and you're going to have a great time. The way I usually play it is I go through the side with the MP40 on it, opposite of the alley, move through there. I'll go through the stage, turn on power. I'll usually grab my MP40 on the way there, usually fire that until I have enough for Jug, then I'll start hitting the box, and then I'll just be spinning for either a very good box gun like an LMG, or I'll be spinning for Thunder Gun and Ray Gun, and once I have those, I'll move up to Pack-a-Punch, and honestly, I Pack-a-Punch before getting all my perks on Kino, just because of how accessible all the perks are. Just to get to power, you'll open up Speed Cola or Double Tap. It'll be one or the other, but if you go the way that I recommend, it'll be Speed Cola. And this map is just so comfortable that no matter where you are, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable or unsafe on this map. This map gives you just an insane sense of safety that is almost unmatched by any other maps that only a couple have been able to capture, like Ascension. Deriz to a certain standpoint. Let's talk about the perk variety on the map. It's very simple for this map. You have the original 4, Juggernaut, Speed Cola, Double Tap Root Beer, and Quick Revive. The main function of Quick Revive that people use it for now was also introduced on this map, where if you go down, it will pick you back up if you're on solo. This was not a thing in World at War, so now you have that extra comfort added in there, knowing that if you go down, it's not all over then. Now, the simplicity of the perks could be hated by a lot of people, but I personally enjoy it, just because I know what I'm gonna get. It also does have Mule Kick, but it didn't launch with Mule Kick, so we're not going to really talk about that much. Now on to my personal opinion on the map. I believe it gets slightly more love than it deserves because of how lucky it got mainly, but regardless, I think it's an amazing map. Maybe it's my love for 5 and how 5 was kind of forced into Kino's long shadow because the difficulty factor of 5 and the fact that you had to complete campaign to unlock 5. Speaking of 5, let's move on. I see 5 in a different way than most people. I see 5 what a lot of people see Kino as. I see it as a simplistic map that's fun to play around on because when it comes to zombies, I don't see difficulty as a bad thing or something that changes the gameplay all that much. It just changes how much I need to be trying while playing the game. Now, 5 is not perfect for gameplay, and it's very non-player friendly. The main reason is it's ported from campaign and was not built to be a zombies map, but they made it work better than anyone else could have, I believe. With what they were working with, I think they did amazing. For someone as interested in history as myself, 5 is going to be extremely fun for you. The 4 characters are all political figures from the Cold War era. You have Robert McNamara, you have John F. Kennedy, you have Richard Nixon, and you have Fidel Castro having a meeting about the Cuban Missile Crisis when zombies attack the Pentagon, sabotaging their plans. Throughout the gameplay, all the characters will be making historical references to how they interacted with the Cold War, and I find that very interesting, because all these people were interesting people in real life, and that doesn't change when they're added to zombies, in my opinion, because they're still just funny, which not all of them were in real life, of course, but in zombies, with their twists made to their characters, they're all super fun. JFK with his Boston accent, Fidel Castro talking about the revolution, Nixon hating hippies, and Robert McNamara being a nerd. Because nerds are cool. Robert McNamara was a nerd, though. Speaking of history, just walking around the map, you can see how history has affected this map. You can see the underground experiments in the lab, in the basement. They're experimenting with 115 on the pigs. They have photos taken of aerial areas in Russia. And there's magazines about the space race littered around the map. I'm struggling to figure out what I want to talk about because there's so much scattered around. You can see file recordings of people trying to figure out ciphers, and you just see it all reflected in the gameplay too as you walk around the map. Even Pack-a-Punching finds its own way to be historical, with you flipping the DEFCON switches to deactivate the security protocol and locking the room which houses Pack-a-Punch. Talking about perks, it's in the same spot as Kino der Toten with the 4 original perks and Mule Kick, but this time the perks are scattered more sporadically across the map, and you'll have to open more doors to get access to all the perks, making it harder to purchase them. It's not too difficult on this map, but it's definitely more of a challenge than it was in the previous map. Let's talk about the wonder weapon of this map, the Winter's Howl. It's an ice cube gun. It is a gun that shoots a storm of ice, freezing the zombies in its path. Is it good? No. It drops off very early, it doesn't do enough damage. Is it interesting? Is it one of my favorite wonder weapons? Yes. I don't love it because of the gameplay, but the way it functions is so interesting and fun that I can't help but adore it. It's such a fun weapon to train with in the war room. And speaking of the war room, we can move on to our training areas. There's only 2 viable training areas on this entire map. There's the war room on the lower level, and there is the basement level in the porcine labs, where the pigs are being kept. Now, the porcine labs is not seamless. You will run into zombies here. You'll need to have a high damage gun to get zombies off you quickly, because there is no shot of spending a whole round past round 25 down there completely unscathed. Now, speaking of why this map was overshadowed by Kino. Kino is available to you right out of the gates. Right as you bought the game, if you went and clicked zombies, you'd be able to see Kino. But to see 5, you'd have to complete the campaign first. And not everybody buys a Call of Duty game to complete the campaign. Some people are buying it just for multiplayer. Most people will end up having access to 5, but most people will have gotten used to Kino a lot sooner than 5, just because it's been there since the start and they've just unlocked this new map, which is more complex than Kino and has more complex features than Kino. On to my personal opinions of the map. I love this map. From the history to the wonder weapons, everything about this map speaks to me. The characters are insanely funny to listen to. The wonder weapon, while not very good, is very fun to play against. The map is hard as nails, and I enjoy that because I enjoy a challenge in zombies. It's rough to try to train on this map, but you will find a way to make it work if you're good enough. In conclusion, is 5 perfect? No. Is 5 one of my favorite maps? Yes. Is 5 a very fun map? Depends on if you like challenges and zombies. But speaking of all the history we've been talking about, let's move on to Ascension. Ascension is a map that takes place in a Russian cosmodrome during the space race. Now, as I said, there's history everywhere on this map too, but I won't get into that this time because there's a lot to talk about with this map. This is the birth of the Easter egg. This is where the first Easter egg takes place. This is the first zombies map to have a main Easter egg involving the main plot. Being the first Easter egg, it wasn't very difficult to do. You can complete it with a group of 4 friends in under an hour. Sadly, it does require 4 people. Let's move on to the difficulty factor. Ascension is an extremely easy map. There's no dodging that. There's traps everywhere. You have an infinite damage trap that activates by itself, no points required. You have a thunder gun, and you have some brand new perks that make explosive weapons usable. Let's start off with those new perks. First new perk we're going to cover is Stamina. It allows you to run faster, longer, and to regenerate that faster. It's a very nice perk. I see it as a requirement if it's on the map I'm playing on, because I hate moving slow when playing zombies. I need my stamina up. It's stamina up time, baby. Running across the map with stamina up is so much more doable than running across the map without. Now let's talk about PhD Flopper, the infamous. PhD Flopper removes all explosive damage that would have been done to you. Let's say you shoot a rocket launcher at your feet. It's not going to hurt you anymore. Now, the main strategy this popularized is using the Mustang and Sally. When you pack-a-punch your M1911 that you spawn in with, it doesn't just become a better version of itself. You actually get a dual-wield M1911 called the Mustang and Sally that shoots explosive rounds. These explosive rounds normally would damage you and be too unreliable to use, but with PhD Flopper, it just makes it a very reliable, well, honestly, I feel like most people would consider it a wonder weapon at that point. Another factor contributing to how easy Ascension is the myriad of amazing training spots. You have Spawn, you have Pack-a-Punch, you have the Launchpad 1 area by PhD Flopper. It's all doable everywhere in Ascension. They also introduced the Gersh device. It's basically a replacement for your monkeys where you'll throw a device and in a second or two it will spew out a black hole that will start sucking in the zombies. And the lesser known component of the Gersh device is you're being able to jump through it and you can teleport to a random area of the map. It's not very good because if you throw in a Gersh device, you're safe. Zombies won't hit you while a Gersh device is active. So I don't see why you need to teleport. Perhaps there were different plans to use this in a different way, maybe during the Easter egg and they ran out of time, but it's not a very used component. I don't find myself teleporting with the Gersh device every game, and if I am, it's most likely just as a joke or because I've gotten bored. Let's talk about the one dread factor of Ascension, the space monkeys. Instead of a dog round, you'll get space monkeys on this map. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, they can steal your perks. Instead of going after you, the space monkeys will go after your perks. If you manage to kill all of them without them touching a perk, you can actually get a free perk, meaning you can get every perk on the map in this, but it's very hard to do without 4 players, because someone needs to defend every perk on the map, or else they'll be going for it and shutting down your whole plan. This map also introduced Matryoshka dolls, another addition to like monkeys, the special grenades that you can get out of the box. Shooting out a Matryoshka doll will cause a bunch of little explosions in that area, and it's actually extremely powerful. It does a lot more damage than people seem to think. The sickle was also introduced on this map. It's just a reskin of the Bowie knife from previous maps like Deriz and Kino, but regardless, it's very fun to use. It has its unique animations, and honestly, it looks better than the Bowie knife probably, but that's just because the Bowie knife animation was made back in World at War, and the sickle animation was made in Black Ops 1, granting it just better assets to use in general. A cool little factor to this map that wouldn't return until Die Rise is unique zombie types. Certain zombies on this map, mainly the zombies dressed in soldier uniforms, will actually attempt to move out of the way of your crosshair and dodge your bullets. Now, it doesn't really affect the gameplay too much, but it's just interesting to look at and say, hey, I'm able to notice that, and that's a cool detail. Ascension was the first map to take place in Russia, and we can finally see what Russia's been doing with Element 115, with Ascension Group. We don't get a whole ton of the lore here, but we see a decent portion with Gersh getting locked in the Kashmir mechanism by Dr. Yuri. Dr. Yuri happens to be the Pentagon thief from 5. The Pack-a-Punch routine on this map is harder than it has been on any previous map. Not difficult, just more complicated than simply turning on power and linking 2 things or flipping 5 switches. You'll need to ride every lunar lander back to spawn across the map, one by Stamina, one by PhD, and one by Speed Cola. They're all on different corners of the map, meaning you have to spend a lot on doors to unlock all these, but all said and done, it's one of the easier Pack-a-Punch routines. My personal thoughts on Ascension are that it's a fun map, it's a good map, it is slightly overrated. A lot of people will put this as one of their favorite zombies maps, and there's no issue with that. You can love whatever zombies map you like. My favorite zombies map is fairly unpopular. I love Dead of the Night from Black Ops 4. I don't like Chaos, I just love that map. But it's just, this map is not as advanced as a lot of maps would become. But bottom line, I enjoy the map, and the history aspect obviously is getting me there too. I enjoy the map. It's very fun to play on. It's a little easy for my tastes. Like I said, I enjoy a challenge, and Ascension just can't really provide that for me. But all in all, a good zombies map. Call of the Dead threw everybody off when it came out. Not only did it not have our Ultimus characters on it, it had a cast of celebrities, made up of Danny Trejo, most famous from Machete, Michael Rooker, most famous from The Walking Dead, Sarah Michelle Gellar, most famous from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Robert Englund, most famous for playing Freddy Krueger. It also took place during modern times on the set of a movie that is directed by the man, the myth, the legend himself, George A. Romero. Yes, George A. Romero was on a zombies map, voicing himself. So, that's crazy to me, that the grandfather of zombies himself makes an appearance in a zombies map. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, about just how the scale of this. We have the creator of zombies in a zombies map. That's just insane to me. Now, this also threw us off because it's not a World War II facility we're at. We're at just this abandoned boat in the Tunguska River, near where the Tunguska event happened, which was referenced a lot in early zombies, a meteorite crashing down in Russia near Siberia. It's a big plot point, or it was going to be, and then it was kind of phased out of the story. Now, the story of this map is our Ultimus crew is teleported to here after the events of Ascension, but they are stuck in a room, and now our cast of celebrities has to help them retrieve the Grail device, which they need to do what they need to do at ShangriLa. On to perks. We have the same perks we've had all the time, plus the 2 from Ascension, and this map added a new perk. One of the worst, but one of the best jingles, Deadshot Daiquiri. 1,500 points to auto-lock on heads. Completely useless if you're on PC, except for, I guess, it makes your hip fire spread a little less wide, but nobody really cares about that. But it's cheap, you're getting what you paid for, there's not a whole lot to it. I never buy it, but since you can get all perks on the map, it's worth it getting it anyway, I guess. On to the way you're able to get all perks on the map. George Romero, during the opening cutscene, is taken and transformed into a zombie. He has 250,000 health for each player in your lobby, meaning he can have up to 1 million for 4 players. But every time you kill him, he will drop a perk and a death machine drop, and if you've done the Easter egg, that death machine will be a Wonderwaff DG2, the only form of infinite damage on the entire map, considering there are no traps. And it's just very worth it to do the Easter egg, mainly because of that, and it's a quick and painless Easter egg, should take you less than an hour on solo, and George is one of the most annoying boss zombies, but also one of the coolest, considering who he is and how much he benefits you on the map. And he opens up a way to get every single perk on the map, which we always love to see. Onto the wonder weapons of this map, you have the VR-11 and the Scavenger. The Scavenger is a bolt-action explosive sniper rifle that deals massive damage, but drops off around the mid-40s. And the VR-11 is a piece of shit. It can kill 1 zombie per bullet, transforming it into a little decoy type thing. And if you shoot that zombie 3 times, it will explode and cause minor damage to zombies around it. Its main purpose is for the Easter egg, so you can't really knock it that hard, but it's not a good wonder weapon for general play unless you're on co-op, which you can shoot your teammates with it and give them zombie blood and insta-kill, which is actually very nice, and it's the way people get the high rounds on this. That is why Call of the Dead is the only map with a higher world record for co-op than solo. Because on solo, since your only form of infinite damage is the Wonderwaff, which you get by killing George, you're not going to do that, and round 100 is actually impossible on solo on this map. No one has ever done it, because eventually Black Ops 1 just will reset your game because it can't handle spawning any more zombies in. The time has been going on too long, so either your game crashes or the game resets it for you. No one has ever reached round 100 on solo on this map. The environment, you're stuck in an icy cold area of a river. There is freezing water everywhere on the map that will block your screen, slow you down if you walk through it too long, so just avoid that. Its main use is calming down George. If you make George angry by walking too close to him or shooting him, you can lead him into the water to calm him down so he's a bit easier to deal with. The map also has fog that rolls in every once in a while that's very annoying to deal with. It kind of clogs up your vision and it's very hard to see in front of you. I've died a couple times because of that, but it clears out and it's not too bad. The Pack-a-Punching is as simple as turning on power, and then the lighthouse will shine somewhere on the map, and that's where Pack-a-Punch spawns. It rotates every couple rounds, so you're going to have to keep an eye on that. This has one of the best training spots in Zombies history on this map. The bottom of the lighthouse has this little beach area that you can train on. As long as you don't open the bottom lighthouse door, you can train pretty much flawlessly as long as you like until your game resets here. But with no forms of infinite damage, as in traps or wonder weapons, and only having a select amount of infinite damage, it's theoretically possible to get to round 100, but your luck with insta-kills would be insane. You'd need to get insane luck with insta-kills, which you're probably not going to get, but I'm sure someone will eventually do this, and I will applaud the shit out of them when I see that. You actually have modern music on this map, with Avenged Sevenfold coming to play for us on this map, unlike Kevin and Elena, I usually write and play the songs, much like we had Eminem on 5. Any place other than the bottom of the lighthouse is a training nightmare on this map. That's why you need to stick together with teammates and honestly just train together, because your other teammate will not be able to survive on this map past round 25 in any other area of the map. It's just too cramped and condensed, especially if without an infinite damage wonder weapon to immediately blow zombies away. Even the Scavenger, on rounds where it does kill, has a delay on its explosion that can and will get you killed if you mess up. And the Scavenger itself is unusable without PhD Flopper, so you have 2 unreliable wonder weapons and 1 form of infinite damage. So high rounds on this map are a pain, but overall, this map is extremely fun. one of my favorites. It's very high in difficulty, but George Romero is so badass to have on a zombies map, and I think we should all appreciate Call of the Dead a little more. Let's move on. The jungle temple itself, full of traps, napalm zombies, and other things that are going to definitely kill you. ShangriLa. Welcome to the jungle, we've got fun and games. This is ShangriLa. One of the hardest, if not the hardest, zombies maps ever. It's insanely cramped, has a ton of boss zombies that are gonna kill you, an unreliable wonder weapon that is technically very good but can get you killed, and we're gonna talk about all of this. ShangriLa. It is so insanely cramped and so insanely hard to train, there is not a single viable training area on this entire map. You can make by the MPL work, and I've seen one person be able to make the waterfall work. Other than that, I have never seen anyone be able to train seamlessly on this map, ever. The wonder weapon, the 3179 JGB215, is the baby gun. When you shoot a zombie, they will shrink down to a smaller size, and you're able to actually kick them away. However, they can still hit you in this form, and they deal a minuscule amount of damage, takes 15 hits to down you with Jug, but they also grow up again very fast, and let's say a horde of zombies grows up as you're running through them, you're dead, you're a goner. It's probably already over for you unless you have quick revive, but this makes the wonder weapon very dangerous to use, even though it is one of the best wonder weapons ever because of ammo and the damage it's able to dish out. But also being on this map, considering you're not able to train 24 zombies consistently, very hard to use, and that's on top of everything else beating down on you. This map is extremely difficult. The atmosphere of the map, much unlike the difficulty, is beautiful and graceful. Jungle trees are all around you, sound effects, you can hear monkeys chirping in the distance. The zombies are actually the locals of the ShangriLa, and there's some stupid theory about it being on Mars. It's not true. It's on Mars during the eclipse, I guess. I'll just say that so people stop whining. But it's not on fucking Mars. It's called ShangriLa, it's in ShangriLa. Let's say you want to pick up a drop on this map, but you're a little slow to it. Well, a little monkey is gonna come and try to steal that drop from you. But don't worry, this can be manipulated in your favor, actually. What you can do is waiting for it to cycle to whatever power-up you want, let it be a max ammo, or hell, if you want a carpenter, you could get one, and shoot the monkey as it's cycling over its head. It will drop that power-up, so you could turn carpenters into max ammos. And if it grabs a max ammo, you actually have a chance at getting a perk drop off of it. It's very hard, the perk moves by very fast, but it is possible. We have all the returning perks on this map, sadly no new perk introduced. The perks do have randomized perk spawns though, they spawn on different areas of the map each game. This can be very annoying. Some people like it because it just adds a little mix up to the gameplay, I am one of them. But I'm aware that some people also very much don't like knowing where Jug is gonna be right off the spawn. But if it's really that important to you, you could probably just restart after seeing that Jug's not exactly where you want it to be. The boss zombies on this map are a nightmare to deal with. The napalm zombie, capable of insta-downing you when you don't have Jug, is a zombie that you will just shoot. It has, I believe, 4 times the amount of health of a normal zombie. It might be a bit more, actually. You can't get headshot modifiers on it, and when you kill it, it bursts into flames, causing just flames around you, which can be used as an infinite damage fire trap, which is nice, but that is the only trap on the entire map. There is no trap that you can just activate by pressing a button. ShangriLa is not willing to give you that. The Easter egg of this map is you getting the focusing stone to put in the Grail device so you can function in against the MPD and reveal Samantha Maxis. Through this, you have to help 2 explorers named Brock and Gary be able to break this cycle that they've been stuck in of repeatedly dying to the zombie horde, so you may retrieve the focusing stone to help interact with the Grail device. This Easter egg is quick but not quite painless, taking around an hour on average. It requires 4 players, sadly, so solo players, you just have to wallow or make some friends, I guess. I'm one of you, I feel the pain. ShangriLa was a map that was hated on launch. The community didn't understand it. They couldn't wrap their head around the difficulty. but people have grown to like it over time, realizing how important of a simple challenge it is. Most hard maps are either hard because they're complicated or because of poor map design. ShangriLa is neither. ShangriLa is just hard at its core. You could blame it on map design, but I like to believe the map design wasn't like 5, where it was just ported from campaign. They made this map hard on purpose. This was a calculated decision, because they've given us so many easy maps in Black Ops 1, and even Call of the Dead to an extent on solo is easy because of your big training spot down by the lighthouse. There's only one semi-viable training spot on the entirety of ShangriLa, but I've come to admire that fact and realize that sometimes a map that makes you train around the entire map isn't a bad map necessarily. And I love ShangriLa. I know a fair amount of people hate ShangriLa, but personally, it's one of my most played Black Ops 1 maps just because of how fun I find the challenge it provides. One of my least played Black Ops 1 maps we're about to move on to. Let's go to outer space. Welcome to Moon. Moon is, in my opinion, one of the most unique zombies maps ever made. It takes you to outer space. You don't actually spawn in outer space, though. You spawn in Area 51 on your way to outer space. Now, this is interesting because you can get Jug on round 1 if you're able to train down in Area 51 enough. I've mastered it. It is a technique you can master, not a technique that takes a long time to master, though. So it's always worth doing, in my opinion. And I just restart until I get it, because Speed Cola can always spawn there as well. Now, when you actually get to the moon on Griffin Station, you're going to be faced with zero gravity, which I think is very annoying. I don't like the zero gravity, but I understand why it's there. It kind of throws you at the zombies and the motherfucker we're about to talk about, the Cosmonaut. I hate the Cosmonaut. He steals your perks, he's super quiet, and he has the username of one of your friends if you're playing online, so it's literally just there to destroy relationships between you and your friends. I know I've beat up a couple kids at my school because they're using the wrong on the Ascension. Now that was a joke. But let's talk about the map design. It's very cramped except for one area of the map. You've got your tunnels, Tunnel 6 and Tunnel 11, which are very cramped areas. I don't love being in them. You want to get out of those areas as fast as you can and make your way to the Biodome. The Biodome is a very wide open training area. It's got wall buys, it's got hot perks, it's got, I believe, a wall buy right next to PhD Flopper, which is the perk in the Biodome, and there's 2 box spawns that can be either in or around the Biodome, one right outside, one actually in the Biodome. The Biodome is an extremely wide and good training spot that you can always survive in pretty much. There's not a whole lot of room for failure on the Biodome. Outside of the Biodome is the teleporter that can take you back to Area 51, which is where you pack-a-punch your gun, and you'll get whatever perk you left there usually. Now, this process is a little annoying because you can only do it once per couple rounds. Pack-a-punch is not always available to you, which I do find a little annoying, but it's not that bad compared to some other pack-a-punch routines. Moon is a very quiet and lonely. Walking around this map, you are literally the only thing up there. Griffin Station is the only thing on the moon. And if you're playing without friends, this map can get very sad and lonely. I enjoy this map, but I find myself not playing it that often simply for that fact that it's a very lonely feeling map just walking around up there, surrounded by nothing. The wonder weapon on this map is one of my favorites, probably top 5, the wave gun / zap gun. It is called the wave gun because it literally microwaves and pops the zombies in front of you. The zap guns are dual wield infinite damage blasters. Both are infinite damage. People say they like the thunder gun better a lot, but the wave gun is just objectively better than the thunder gun. Neither do drop max ammos though, sadly, so if you're gonna be playing with this, have a good power weapon along with it so you can get your max ammos. The Easter egg, in my opinion, is the best and worst part of this map, mainly because it requires a lot of RNG. You need to get Excavator Pie, which you're more likely to not get than to get, and the Easter egg itself just has some overall cancerous steps, but the story of the Easter egg is what makes this map so amazing. You're finally on the moon, the goal of Black Ops 1. You're opening the MPD to confront Samantha Maxis. You blow up Earth by launching rockets down to it, and then Richtofen is able to swap souls with Samantha. The person playing Richtofen will now out hear Samantha voice lines instead of Richtofen voice lines, and the zombies' eyes will be changed to blue, signaling Richtofen's control over them via ether. This was such an epic conclusion to Black Ops Zombies, literally blowing up the planet, that it will never be matched. I don't think the zombie storyline will ever reach this point again, where the story is this captivating and interesting, but I hope to be proven wrong. I don't believe it will be able to reach here again. Black Ops 1 is personally my favorite zombies game, so I'm very biased in saying this, but overall, I love Black Ops 1. I love everything it had to offer, and I loved making this video, and I can't wait to make some more. I will be redoing my World at War one, as it was made on kind of a time constraint and budget constraint. Not that this took a lot of budget, I just didn't have the equipment I needed, so that video didn't come out exactly how I wanted it. But rest assured, I will be making more zombies content. Videos will probably be a bit shorter than this in the future, and they won't be documentary style, at least not all of them. I'll be launching a gameplay video next Friday. Make sure you tune in for that. This was Gene's DG2. Thank you for watching. Signing off.